I can just tell you the gist of it. My 17-year-old drives and he has a car, and he oftentimes drives my 15-year-old around, like wherever she wants to go, to like functions or parties or like the beach. They go to the beach almost every single day after school. They're best friends. Like he doesn't really have his like group of friends. Like he doesn't have his like 17, 18-year-old friends. He hangs around oftentimes with me or his siblings or Ellie. And so, but Ellie has like a very large social circle, and she's got a boyfriend, and she's got like all her little besties and like all their little group, and everyone meets in the beach town after school, and everyone's like surfing and all that stuff. It's really a dream. He picks her up, he drops her off, he gets her food. Like he's just like the best brother ever. And he wants to hang out with her, but he doesn't want to hang out with like the other like 13, 15, 14 year olds. So he dropped her off, and anyways, then he picked her up and all her friends, and they came back to my house. And so he is like showered, everyone's clean from the beach, and they're all hanging in Ellie's room. And Ellie's room has like, she's like the spot. Everyone comes for the parties here, everyone comes, hangs in her room. And so he like goes to center a bench. She goes, "Don't sit on my bed," like right in front of the friends and me and his other and the others and Adelina. And she goes like, "Go sit on the couch." And like in that moment, Avi got so hurt because he was like felt so rejected. And he's like, "I took a shower," because she has like this thing where she doesn't want people that are dirty on her bed. And so then he's like, "Forget it." Like he goes into his room and he's like so sad because he does everything for her. He like goes out of his way and goes to college and then comes to pick her up and drops her off and all this stuff. Goes to his room and he starts crying. And I'm just like, I get so triggered when she doesn't like them drinking out of her cup. She doesn't like them sharing. She doesn't like them, the boys are like, whatever. So I like flip a lid and I'm like, "Ellie, this is what I'm talking about." Like, I immediately go into like panic. And so without me telling her, she goes right to his room and she's like, "Let me in. I want to talk to you." And it's so good because she's typically a withdrawer and he's very much a pursuer, but he was so hurt in the room and he's just like crying and crying. And he doesn't usually cry like this much. He usually is like, "Okay, like I'm gonna talk about your feelings. I want to help regulate your feelings, and then we'll talk about my feelings." I came into the room and I'm like hugging him and she's sitting there like telling him like, "Avi, like I didn't know that it makes you so sad. Like I didn't even have any idea. I want you to tell me these things because I don't know. You're my best friend." And he's like, "Oh my God." And I'm holding him and I'm like, "Avi, like she's trying to help them in the conversation." And he like perks right up, stops crying mid like streaming crying and says, "Mom, I got this." Okay, I got it handled. Like I know how to talk to her. You have taught us enough about emotions. And he turns to her and he goes like, "I really appreciate that, Ellie. Like, yeah, that was really sad for me." And she goes like, "Avi, when you don't share with me what's going on with you and how it makes you sad, I don't know how it affects you, and then I can't be there for you." And he goes, "I really, really appreciate that, Ellie. It was really sad for me. It's like I feel rejected." It was so good because oftentimes we don't get to like the core feelings that we need to share. And he's like, "I was really rejected and I felt so sad. And also like I feel like you're my best friend." And she's like, "You're my best friend too, Avi. Like it makes sense. I get it. I had no idea. I want to be here for you." And and I was like, "Okay, now tell her what you need." And he was like, "Stop, Mom. I already I already know to tell her what I need." And I'm like, "Do you want me to get the form?" And they're like, "No, Mom, we don't need the form." I'm like, "What about the raw spots? Let's talk about the raw spots. Which raw spot was hit? Was it number 5? Was it number 10? Was it number 1? Feeling rejected." And they were like, "No, Mom, we're fine." And I literally, I wanted to cry out of pure joy because I could die and be happy knowing that they can like, this is like gold, right? You get to a point, and you guys, all this scientific data that says how, a child has to be like 23 to be emotionally intelligent and have their like prefrontal cortex like fully developed. Okay, I get it, and that's fine. And, I understand science. But come on, like a 17-year-old and 15-year-old having an emotionally intelligent conversation like that, where they are able to recover from an injury so quickly, too. And then to reconnect and for her to show up like that, I was so impressed. I was so impressed. I was like, oh my God, I can die. And like everyone's just gonna get along. And if Micah and Noah are gonna be like upset, you guys are gonna help them. And no one's ever gonna like allow each other to go for a long period of time being upset and like not reconnecting. And I was like, yes, I did a good job. Yes, okay. All right, you guys good? Because I'm gonna like go travel the world now. I don't need to like raise the other kids because you guys can. No, just kidding. But yeah, it was really, really cool to see that and experience that. And then, I get so triggered with Ellie in moments. I get triggered with all the kids, but then I noticed where my job is at this point in their relationship because my job is no longer to teach them how to communicate or teach them how to reconnect. My job is to reinforce that those conversations and those experiences that they're having are the right path, the right direction to creating these deep emotional connections. So I did, Ellie left. Like I just sat there and I watched them. And then like I got up and went back to the kitchen and Ellie went to her room because her friends were there. And I went back to Avi's room and I was like, that was amazing. Like, good job. So awesome. Like that's exactly. And he's like, I'm like, are you good? And he's like, yeah, I'm okay, mom. And then I went to Ellie and I was like, I'm so proud of you. That was a really big deal. Like you showed up for him when he needed you in the difficult moments that he needed you. And he was asking the question in his head, does she have my back? Is she there for me? Does she love me? The resounding answer was yes. And she came and showed up for you in that difficult moment. And at the end of the conversation, he said to her, she said, Avi, I wasn't there for you then, but I'm here for you now. Like, what do you need from me?